I'm just so busy.
What are you doing right now?
Well, I've got emails, I've got Flocknote, I've got Facebook, I've got iWatch notifications, I'm just busy.
I think you just gotta calm down and take a breather.
It's tough.
It is. We're in a busy world, and stuff is moving fast all the time.
Do you have any books? Wait, here's a book.
Oh.
You're never too busy.
There you go. It's just what you need.
It is what I need. What's the first chapter called? Do you know?
Tell me about it, Mr. Busy Guy.
What does busy mean? Aren't there like a few definitions of busy?
There are. In fact, there's probably 4.
Are there 4?
Yeah.
Do you know the last 2?
Meddling
Yeah.
and distractions.
Distractions. So the definition of meddling, from what I recall from the book, is tampering in people's affairs that are not your own. Why is it so fun to do?
Oftentimes there's just so much like wanting to like jump in other people's situations, other people's things. And we're like, hey, we're going to just sit back and like focus on what we need to focus on. Be attuned to the things that we're supposed to be doing.
Being distracted by people's lives and brought into people's lives, I think, gives the impression of a form of livelihood or life. Like, it's fun to watch people's lives from the outside because there's no consequences when they fail.
Yeah, and we're so good at watching other people and seeing how things unfold that we don't take time to reflect on ourselves and what we're meant to be doing.
Interesting. So when the book says that we are typical phone-addicted, lukewarm Christians, what are your thoughts on that?
That's something to unpack right there.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh boy, phone-addicted Christians. So the sad thing for society today is it seems like so much of our time is spent on our phones, devices. In fact, we can't even watch TV anymore without having our phone go off and then checking our phone. So we've got 3 screens going on at once. Oftentimes we got our phone, we got an iPad or a computer, tablet, a laptop, and then our phone, and we can't give our attention to one thing because we're constantly going back from thing to thing. And the moment we lose our attention on one, we want to go to the other. Hopefully we get the gratification there.
I agree. So one of the challenges this book gives is how much of your phone time aided your spiritual development. And another challenge is how much time involved complaining about children, spouses, or friends, and how much time involved a third party not in the conversation. What can we take away from these questions?
Yeah, it seems like because we're so saturated by our phones, we often neglect the things in our life that need to be focused on, which is time with God. Think if we all spent time writing out our day in half-hour block segments. What am I doing from 7 to 7:30 a.m., 7:30 to 8 a.m., 8 to 8:30 a.m., and go through the day? How much of it is just spent watching TV, scrolling through social media, checking our phones? And then how much of our time is actually spent just being with God? Where you tell God, I don't have time to block out a half hour for you because we're just on our phones for hours each day.
Right. The distracting details part, the 4th definition of busy that the book gives, which is written by Conor Gallagher, by the way. Distracting details are like super alluring, but they're very hollow. Why is it that social media is so enamoring and seductive with its way of alluring us and drawing us away from what's actually in front of us?
Yeah, it gives this false reality of like an ideal situation, ideal parts of people's lives without actually going in and seeing what's actually unfolding in their lives. And so as a result, it becomes so easy for us to look at that and be like, well, that seems really good. That person's having a really good time. And then we start to experience a shame of like, well, why is my life not so good? But all we're seeing is very on the surface, superficial, idealistic representation. Which
we're drawn to the ideal.
Absolutely. We want the good.
Right. I think that's what's so frustrating. I'll speak from a personal experience of just like, we can know the ideal, and God is the ideal, but at the same time, his created world has many forms of perfection in it, which are so beautiful to watch and to engage with.
Absolutely.
But what's like the common denominator for being able to see those things, and then how God is either in them or behind them?
Yeah, well, I mean, God has made all these things, so there should be a good. Like, we should be able to look at other people and things and be like, wow, there's a good in that. The problem is when we get so caught up with these things that we forget the Creator. We get so bogged down by the creature, we forget He who made them.
All right, Father, I want to give you the opportunity to invite these people to do 2 things this week with this book, and I'll do 2 things, 2 invitations. My first invitation is to literally ask Jesus what your relationship with your cell phone is, which sounds somewhat comical,
Yeah.
but it's real. And the second thing is that if you do that in a sober way and actually allow him to speak to you about your cell phone and your relationship with your cell phone, ask him for the grace to put it down so that the busyness of the cell phone is not the focal point of your heart. What are your two challenges, Father?
Here's a question. What's the first thing you pick up each morning?
Dang.
Is it your phone? Or is it perhaps a Bible? Or a rosary? Oftentimes we're so enamored with the fact I gotta check my notifications right away in the morning that our day is dedicated to our phone, not to God. Second question. What's the last thing you hold each night?
Ooh, that hurts. That hurts.
It's true. And so the question is it your phone? Is it your Bible? Is it your rosary?
Is it your book?
Is it your book? Are we going to give God that time? Because if we give God that time, he will multiply that time for us.
Good. So again, we're going through this book, You Were Never Too Busy, for Advent. The author is Conor Gallagher. It does not come with this, but this is yours.
It is.
This is yours.
Special collector's edition.
Yeah.
Find
Hey,
at St. Michael's.
can I get a signature on that?
That's right. Autographed edition right
So
here.
as Father signs his holy card for his ordination, we just want to invite you to go through this book. It's super simple. I'm going to sell this. Now there's evidence that you signed it. So when you
It
become
is.
a canonized saint, I'm going to sell this for mint condition.
Something called like a
Top.
relic right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Top money. Anyway, honestly, this book is really good, super simple, but it cuts deep and it cuts quick. So I invite you to walk through this with your spouse and your family, and just assess like where you're at in your relationship with technology, where you're at in your relationship with being seen as too busy. Because if we're being totally honest, we're not too busy for God, and He's not too busy for us. We just have to begin to surrender what those things are that are claiming our time and attention and the focal point in our hearts. Final thought, Father, anything on your part?
Slow down.
Slow down! Oh, should we get tattoos? We're gonna get
There we
tattoos!
go.
Just kidding.